Thank you very much. And as you can see and you could hear, I'm from the Hungarian Civil Liberties Union. We are a human rights NGO, and we mainly work so that people are informed about their rights and they are empowered to act with them and enforce them against the government and people in all positions of power. So that's what we are doing. And recently, like 2-3 years before, we started working with environmental activists as well, ensuring the right to a healthy environment, and also just more generally supporting activism in the environmental landscape. So last year we started a strategic partnership with the Great Lakes and Wetlands Association and the School of Public Life because we wanted to enhance civil cooperation so that when civil society work together in this vision, we are more effective. And as the Great Lakes and Wetlands Association brought the expertise in environmental matters, we were bringing the legal background in activism and from our legal aid work. So we decided on a strategy of a joint activity to improve the legal protection level for Balaton's shoreline. As you might know, probably, Balaton is our biggest lake, and it's in danger because mostly of investments that are along the shoreline. And we decided that in order to enhance the legal protection, it needs to be enhanced in each and every town and village that is on the shoreline. So our focus was on two things. First, a general campaign for a Balaton Green Minimum for all the local governments. As you might have heard, we had an election this year for the local governments in June when new people could come and join in the local power. So we tried to convince them that it is important to accept these ecological points that you will see just in a minute, because then they can ensure that in their position of power, they will enhance this protection. And later then I will talk about 3 case studies where on 3 towns we wanted to enhance the conservation statuses. The legal basis for this work lied on our fundamental law, which protects biodiversity, natural resources, and makes a case that it is the primary obligation of the state, and also it is the duty of everyone to protect and maintain them and preserve for future generations. What does this mean to local governments? They also have an obligation. It lies in the Protection of Nature Act, and we also have a Deputy Commissioner for Fundamental Rights who works on environmental matters, and he also issued a statement of local protected natural areas. And it is important because local governments can regulate their own local protected natural areas. And we wanted to ensure that these local protected natural areas are regulated more rigorously and that more governments designate places that are only just for conservation. And it would be important, especially in the shoreline of Balaton. So the Green Minimum, with all the ecological points that the Great Lakes and Wetlands Association has built up, you can see them in full. It is 6 points with prevention and prohibition of construction extended to at least 100 meters. Currently it's 30 meters in the law, but it is not enough. There are also a lot of burden now on Balaton because of the large investments that can be seen. So 100 meters at least would be sufficient to protect them, and all the other points. Zoli can explain better because these are of his expertise. We were doing a presentation of this minimum and we sent it to local government. We also had information on the legal conservation because local governments have to cooperate with civil society. Local governments could make local referendums about nature protection. They could regulate prohibitions against the massive constructions, and they have a duty for conservation. And this is where I turn to the case studies, because local government's duty to designate areas only for the conservation lies from the fundamental law, as you could see. And we have decided to choose 3 areas: Balaton-Almádi, Balaton-Szemes, and Örvényes, where we knew that there were civil proposals for designated areas to fall under conservation status, but the government did not order these areas to be conserved. So our aim was to reinforce the already submitted civil proposals and ensure that they will be protected. We first just sent a letter to all local governments, so to reinforce that there were these proposals and we want them to be enforced. And then we turn to the legal tools. We have this public notification in the Hungarian law in which you can notify a government, also a local government, so that they have to solve an issue of public importance, and they have to do it in 30 days. So we send this to local governments and also to government offices. Government offices are crucial because they monitor the work of local governments. If local governments do something unjustly, the government office is the one who has to monitor them and review. So the first case was a success. You can see a mine pit lake here. By the way, all the pictures are from Lake Balaton. And this Kocsi Lake is a very little lake, a mine pit, very close to the shoreline. It has marsh vegetation, so it's very important to protect it. And locals do their best to do it, but they wanted to ensure that this falls under conservation, so that the local government imposes a regulation that no one can build nothing on it, and the local government has special duties to protect this area. We sent a reinforcing letter to the already submitted civil proposal, and we got a reply back that actually it was discussed month before our reinforcing letter. We just didn't know about it. So actually it was good news because they said that they have already decided to take the necessary steps for the conservation process. So we were glad that the first case was a success. The second case was a little bit more interesting. It is, these trees are across the Balaton-Szemes shoreline. You can see in the distance Balaton. And it is a wooded land under public ownership. It is the local government's area. And this proposal was way back in 2021. We sent a reinforcing letter. Then, as we didn't get a reply back, we turned to the government office, which, as you know, monitors the local government, to see if they enforce the Nature Protection Act. So the local government the government office monitored the local government, stepped up for our inquiry, and we've got a response back from both the government office and the local government that actually the local government has just conducted a review of its own legislation, and there will be steps taken, and they will consider our proposal. So it is somewhat a promise, but probably it was not from our initiative, because the government office already have said that there should be a schedule made for the review of the local legislation. So it is a coincidence, if you may, that our reinforcement of the conservation status and the government's office monitoring process were parallel in that way. And it is not known to be sure if the government has made this act towards conservation because of our inquiry. But it is also somewhat a success. And then in the third case, we have this beautiful meadow with a mosaic-like habitat, and it is under private ownership. So this is where things get a little bit tricky, because sometimes local governments are afraid to interfere with private ownership areas. By the way, they shouldn't be. And the deputy commissioner, who is doing monitoring work and legal work for environment, is saying that also private areas need to be conserved, and private ownership shouldn't be an obstacle, so that the local governments cannot do anything about it just because it's not in their property. A local proposal was submitted in 2023. The local government discussed it in 2023, and there was an interesting debate about it. And as you can see from the minutes, which are posted online, they said that this area, if they would put it under conservation, would put additional burdens on the government, and a possible compensation would be so big that such a small local government couldn't handle it. It was also very interesting that the mayor said that there is currently no income of this land, and a representative replied that he does not agree, because precisely that is the income, that there is such an area which is unbuilt and there is no construction upon it, and it is already the value in itself. So we can see that there is a good initiative amongst the representatives, but they were afraid to put it under conservation, and they have wrote it in their reply to us as well. So we sent a reinforcing letter, then a public interest notification, and we got an answer to the public interest notification that they lack the resources to do the conservation, which is not a fair reason to not do anything. As you can see, it is a duty from the fundamental law, and also the deputy commissioner has a statement that compensation cannot be ordered if there is nothing going on in the area. So when an area is just like this, there is no construction or no activity running on it, there is no real damage that the owner has to suffer should this area be put under conservation. But clearly this is something that is not known across the local governments, and this is why they are not acting where they should protect areas like this. So what we were doing now, just in August, we sent a public notification to the government office so that they would step up. And with the reasoning of the legal writings of the deputy commissioner, which we have sent to them, we are hoping that a new thinking across local governments will be so that conservation would be more in the interest of local governments. And thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please go ahead.